You're listening to TNCRadio.live. Remember to tune in to the Truckers Network radio show with Shelly Johnson weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Welcome in, TNC Radio.live. We're live on a Wednesday night, May the 31st, 2023, and this is Clutch Time Sports. Now here are your hosts, Anderson and Banker.
Thank you, Mr. Tom Kelly. Good evening, you wonderful truckers across America, driving on the highways, byways, and freeways of these United States of America. I'm your co-host, Ivan Anderson, along with my main man, Mr. Josh Banker. JB, we're sitting in Southern California, and we've had nothing but gloom for May, and we're going into gloom June. What's going on? Why we have such cold weather right now?
Well, I mean, we're using air quotes around the word cold, of course, but it is kind of hard to believe that June is tomorrow already. That might have been the fastest May I've had in a long time, but busy May, so things tend to go by faster when you've got all that stuff on your schedule. So here we are, May 31st, got June 1st already tomorrow. Hard to believe. Rent is due. Squirrel. Sorry, that was just squirrel moment there. Anyway.
Well, you can't say that because I've talked to my family in Michigan, I've talked to my family in Illinois and up in Canada, and they've been having 80-degree weather. So we can actually say we're cold. They are right. Enjoying 80 degrees.
You're right. I've got family up in Oregon too, and they've been in the high 80s and 90s. So it's cold for here, but it's not cold.
No, no. Yeah. You have to emphasize that it's not cold. It's cold.
Right. Yes. Only one.
Oh my goodness. JB.
Yeah.
I was going to actually talk about some football tonight, but I was, as you and I both do, we'll often listen to our podcast just to see how we sound, make sure that we've got a little bass in our voice and we're coming through professional and nice and clean, and that we're actually not stumbling on our words. But besides that, we were talking about, not last week, but the week prior. It was the week of the 17th, actually. And you and I were conversing about the NFL schedule, and you had made a comment about, it was really nice in our time how the games were on two networks, and it would flip back and forth between the four major networks, that being CBS, NBC, ABC, and Fox. And I said, yeah, but, I was elaborating the fact that we're dealing with a different generation. Well, I don't know if you know this or not, JB, and I didn't get a chance to discuss this with you earlier as we were busier today, but Diamond Sports Group filed bankruptcy. And Diamond Sports Group is a broadcasting company on the back end, but it's Bally's, the Casino Bally's Sports Group, basically what it is, or Bally's Sports, basically filed bankruptcy. But they have rights throughout the United States for 42 teams, 16 NBA, 14 MLB, and 12 NHL. And they missed their payment or their rights to broadcast the Padres.
Yep. And
I was not aware that the Padres game, because it didn't look like it was so seamless, was broadcast on MLB TV and the local DirecTV, AT&T, and Cox. But I'm bringing this up because not all things are equal. It was a 20-year deal for $1.2 billion. And one of the things that Bally's talked about was that the Padres contracts was not aligned with the market reality. So MLB has forced their hand to continue and refuse to negotiate direct to consumers DTC streaming rights. So the question I pose to you, and we can get into a little more discussion on this, is we know that the NFL and all sports subsidize the smaller market. But the question is, a 20-year, $1.2 billion contract, are the Padres fan base driving money to them? And what do you think the subsidy might be for the Padres down there in San Diego?
I guess the answer to that question will be dependent on how how bad do Padres fans really love their team? and that really kind of goes for all teams, because as part of this, it could be even the Yankees and Red Sox that kind of have helped drive how these things go in the future, because the Yes Network and NESN are doing a per month premium option for watching games, especially those that don't have the MLB Network. And even if you have MLB.TV, right, you're blacked out in local markets. So, it's kind of the evolution of all these different streaming services. I mean, we talked, like you said, a couple of weeks ago about DirecTV now losing the NFL direct Sunday ticket on every Sunday, and how it's going over to YouTube now. And, with Amazon having a weekly game, and then you've got your Sunday Night Football, so there's all kinds of different strategies to this, I guess. But as we all know, the NFL is always going to be the most profitable, because they're only on, you're only going to see your team once a week. And I don't know how you go about trying to determine the fairness of a major league contract, because you're playing 162 games a year. You have local rights that, only allows certain parts of Southern California to even watch Padre games on local cable broadcasts through Bally's, or the Angels are going to be part of that too. I mean, they're part of Bally Sports. Yeah. So it's really going to be interesting to see how this Padres issue will affect, maybe have a cause a ripple effect amongst all these different ones that are under that Bally Sports umbrella.
Well, I guess the MLB wants to try something new, and I guess they're going to take over. I don't know this. I haven't read in depth, but some of the things that I was reading is that the MLB wants to take over all regional broadcasting for Major League, for the teams. And I'm kind of concerned about that, because I'm one that likes the regional sports guys, the regional interaction. And I've never liked anything to be on a large scale, and you can't hear the local guys, and they have a feel of where to go, where to hang out at, and what people go to before they watch a game and things of that nature. So I hope this works out really, really well. Well, and I'm really concerned.
And to that point, I don't think you're going to lose that. That's the broadcasting issue of it. But I think and I'm with you, I don't know all the ins and outs of the story, but if you lose Bally Sports off of, San Diego broadcasting areas, then you're basically forced to perhaps go to an MLB.TV and pay for a subscription that, you normally would have had with your cable package. So I don't think the broadcasters or anything like that necessarily are changing. You'd still get your local guys, but it's the way to which you access those broadcasts, become a bit more limited.
Yeah, I think it's just very strange how that became full circle, and I had such a open and shut answer, and then all of a sudden you read this article and you go, "Wait a minute, this isn't so black and white."
No,
this isn't black and white. And I think you really made a good point when you brought it up, and I made it black and white. And yeah, YouTube and Amazon, but I know when I'm watching the Lakers, you're waiting to turn on and listen to Kenny, Ernie, and Charles and those guys on TNT, only to find out you can't watch it on TNT. You got to go to the higher channels and put it and watch it on Spectrum. And it was nice actually to see the Clippers put some of their games back on KTLA, which is Channel 5, a local affiliate here. So it was really kind of nice to see some of those games return to the local channels versus being on Bally's, which again is a higher channel. But I don't know. I was sitting here just thinking about that, and I just thought, man, Josh had a really good question, and I really should have went in more depth with that, but I didn't have the knowledge I do today. Subscription television, how much more can we pay for to watch sports.
Depends on how much you really want to watch it. I mean, it's what I find interesting. This is such a first world problem now. I mean, can you imagine having this discussion when we were college students in the mid 90s? No, of course not.
No.
None of this was on the horizon, but it's amazing how fast, within 25 years, now we have all of these different options to be able to view, a nationally televised game on T. Let's say just for basketball, for example, you get TNT, you got ESPN, you've got ABC, for national games, and then you got all your regional stuff too. And then you have NBA TV as well on top of all of that. So the accessibility of it is so much broader than we've ever had it, but it comes with complications. And when you have these different markets that, obviously the Padres are not the Dodgers market. It's not, San Diego's not LA. So there's never going to be an equality there as far as the contracts. Anyway, it's so complicated that it's crazy.
Well, we're not on TV. We're on radio. So on that note, we're going to end the first quarter.
That's right.
We're going to come back with our main man, Mr. Kelly, Tom Kelly, and his Kelly's Corner. You listen to Clutch Time Sports on TNCRadio.live.
Finding the right healthcare plan and insurance agent can be a challenge. Truck driving can be a dangerous job, and drivers expose themselves to unique health risks. Health insurance is an expensive but necessary expense for truck drivers. It helps protect them from unexpected high medical costs. Although truck drivers should have a health plan, many don't. Some trucking companies offer health plans for truck drivers, but if you're an owner-operator or an independent contractor, you might have to find your own health insurance policy. The Truckers Network proudly partners with the Health Plan Partner to help our members learn about the options they have for health insurance. The Health Plan Partner is dedicated to helping members of the Truckers Network find and learn about what's available to them in the marketplace. Since 1985, the Health Plan Partner has helped their clients figure out the health insurance maze we're in. Here are 6 tips from the Health Plan Partner for finding the right health plan and agent for truck drivers. Review your options with an experienced agent that specializes in health plans and can guide you in the right direction, even if it's not a plan they offer. Determine your budget. There are options for any budget, but the adage is true. You get what you pay for. So beware. Have a list of your doctors, medications, and any health history. Some plans do require a health history. Review your current plan annually if you have one to see if there are better options and rates available. Plans can change constantly. Have the plans explained to you in detail and ask a lot of questions and role-play various situations. Quite a few times we only find out what the plan doesn't cover when we need it. Again, find an agent you feel comfortable with. You need to be able to trust them and call for guidance and questions anytime. With over 25 years of experience, Health Plan Partner wants to help truckers find the right health insurance plan.
TNCRadio.live, your commercial driver navigation station.
And welcome back into TNCRadio.live's Clutch Time Sports. This time, this quarter, it's time for Kelly's Corner, where we have a little discussion. I never tell the guys what's coming up and give them a hot topic to discuss. And tonight's maybe perhaps the most controversial topic we've taken on so far. So you guys ready?
That scares me right there.
I'm going to start with Josh tonight.
Oh boy.
Josh, we're going to talk about the sisters. No, not the tennis players. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Here we go, huh? Getting serious. So, first of all, let's back up on the story just a little bit. Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence are it's hard to describe what they are, really. I don't want to say singing.
That's a nice way to see it. Yes.
I don't want to say singing group because that makes it sound like they should have an album or something, and perhaps they do. But it's basically a romp and fun time for those who like the irreverent humor that they bring from the LGBTQ plus 34721. I can never keep all the numbers and letters straight, but they, they're irreverent and funny and haha and all. And they were supposed to be doing a Dodgers game, and there was a fan uproar and said, "We don't want that at a Dodgers game," and so they got axed. Well, then there was an uproar, and you guys don't like LGBT, you're not supporting our community, Pride Month is ruined, you've killed everything, you're horrible people. So they said, all right, come on back. And then Clayton Kershaw, Trevor Williams, and others jumped up and said, now wait just a minute. We're not okay with this. This is not just irreverent, this is, wrong. What a controversy. So, Josh, here's the question. Two parts. Number one, what do the Dodgers do now? And number two, is it over? Are we done with every professional team doing any kind of Christian Day or LGBT Day or whatever? I mean, do they just need to stop all that stuff?
Pass.
Sorry, no.
So just for those of you who don't know, just from the official, looking it up on Google, of course, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, also called the Order of Perpetual Indulgence, is a charity, protest, and street performance organization that uses drag and religious imagery to satirize issues of sex, gender, and morality and fundraise for charity. They've been around since 1979. They are a quote-unquote leading-edge order of queer and trans nuns. Okay? And what's funny is after all this was done, the Dodgers then announced through Clayton Kershaw that they were having a Christian Faith and Family Day as well. So I just want to watch baseball. I mean, maybe it's just like I'm getting old and to the point where, like, do we really have to be having these discussions anymore? But, I get any major league franchise or sporting team wanting to get involved in the community and having charitable functions and all this stuff. I think we've just crossed that line where it's just now we have to indulge everybody. Even, as Ivan, you and I have talked about before, we're all professing Christians here. So not that we're putting down the LGBT
See, you're as bad as I am. LBG236, whatever.
We add a letter or a symbol or something. It feels like every 6 months, so it's hard to keep up with all of it. But I don't go to these events for that. I go to watch baseball.
Right.
Let me have a good time doing that, and let's just keep what they want to do, and where they want to do it.
Right. Ivan.
Wow. You guys may dislike me, so I better put a disclaimer out there. I'm a confessing, believing Christian, and I like to say I'm not a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus. I don't think this issue falls in the camp of my beliefs or anyone's personal beliefs. I think this falls in the camp of country, state, region type of a situation. I've always said to my children that I don't care. I say to them, and I tell them this to show you how much I believe in this. I said, the guy that dislikes me because of my color, can't stand me, has a right by our Constitution to voice that. and has a right to express that. And I believe that because if you shut that person down, then you have to shut down the people that are out there saying things on the opposite, that are saying that Jesus Christ is the way, or they're saying that, you know, come to this church, or, hey, we do this for special occasions. And unfortunately, sports have walked down the road way too far that they can't yank it back now.
Mm-hmm.
They promote charities, they promote family time, they promote the military, they promote all of these things. And so when you open yourself out as a public organization under the banner of no shirt, no shoes, you know, no service, you're a publicly positioned entity. And therefore, because of the history of what you've done, you have to open up yourself to this, regardless of how crazy it is. And I'll quote Michael Douglas, and I can't remember the movie he played in, when he talks about the freedom of speech. Freedom of speech means you have to tolerate a lot of things that you don't like or agree upon, just so that the things that you do agree upon have a right to be heard. I don't agree upon what they do. I don't believe in that. But if they're shut down, then the Dodgers have to shut down everything. And the Dodgers and a lot of other major leagues, professional teams do more good than they do bad. The money that they give to the local sporting teams, and, you know, Major League going into the inner city and supporting baseball as much as they do, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL. I think that's more important. So I think we just have to have a louder voice for the things that we know that are right. But I don't like where the world is going right now, at least our country. And our country, in my opinion, is heading back to a lot of the whole Salem witch trials, where you've got one governor in one state banning books and different things. I'm not talking about there's certain books that you cannot ban that are just part of literature history. But because you're getting into these crazy ideas and these crazy things that we're doing, we're going to find ourselves looking back at ourselves 50 to 100 years from now and going, what the heck happened in the country during that time? So I don't agree upon what they do, but I still think they have a right to do it.
But the question, I think, that's out there is this bringing us close to the end of where, and I wouldn't blame any of them, the Astros, Dodgers, Packers, Maple Leafs, whoever, to say, you know what, it's not worth the grief. We're not going to do any of it anymore. From now on, we'll do Craig Biggio Day, but we're not doing any of the society whatever days. We're just done. We're not going to do that anymore.
No. I no, and that's why I answered. I said the good that they do outweigh the bad. You know, it's like the athlete that has to sit there and get barraged by a bunch of journalists, and he's learned how, or she learns how to communicate with it, doesn't want to do it. You have to. And I think all professional sports would tell you, if they look at it from a measuring stick, they're gaining more than they're losing. They may not like to have to do the other stuff, but they're still gaining.
In your thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we start perhaps seeing a pullback of a lot of these different events too, Tom. But I think it's almost to the point where it would surprise me either if we start seeing more of it instead of less of it.
Really?
I mean, I kind of feel like the momentum that's going on now is bringing itself to the point where, like Ivan said, I mean, you have to please everybody now, so everybody's going to get a day, you know, some way, shape, or form. Whether you're for the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, whether you're Christian, whether you're Hispanic heritage, whether you're African American heritage, Irish American, whatever the case may be, because teams have been doing that for years, and now you know you have to check all the boxes, and that's just the way it's going to be.
And there's too many boxes to check,
right? Good thing there's 162 games in a baseball season, right?
I'll give you a perfect example of this that has nothing to do with sports, but it's a perfect analogy. Our church supported in a city on Halloween. We called it Kids Block Party. And it got so big in this downtown area that we had I think we got up to almost 20,000 kids that would come through. And we got to the point where we raised millions of dollars of candy. And I was one of the people that would use my notoriety and things that I have done to call these candy companies. And I called a particular one. I don't want to mention his name because it's very big. And they said, we're sorry, but we can't donate to a Christian charity. And I said, why is that? Well, we did that, and then we got everybody else. They got so angry at us that we had to start donating to crazy things and all these other things that we just said we're not donating at all.
That's what I'm.
And I said, but here's their answer. And I said, well, do you think you're going to start up again? She says, we're talking about it because at the end of the day, we made the wrong decision to do that because what we were donating to outweighed the other things that we had to deal with.
Well, it'd be interesting to see. I don't think this story is nearly over.
No.
Matter of fact, I think in many ways it's just beginning. And it's going to be interesting to see where it goes and the impact that it's going to have. It'll be interesting to see. I believe that there will be some team, someplace that in the very near future will say, we're done. We're not doing those days anymore of any kind.
Or you just start slowly pulling it back and don't say anything about it until people don't notice that that's kind of the way you have to do it anymore. It's just, hey, we're focusing more on, the Craig Biggio days or the, Tino Martinez days or, whatever the case may be to focus on what your business actually is.
Right.
Your baseball team, your football team.
Exactly. Right. So.
You're an entertainment team.
Yep. All right. We're going to take a break, do our halftime special. Singing in today's halftime special, Ivan Anderson's going to sing his favorite TV sitcom songs through I'm sorry, I've been corrected. That was just for us at the beginning of the show. Sorry. Now we're just going to do a little Dr. Chris, and we'll be back here in just a couple of minutes. You're listening to TNCRadio.live. Enjoy the halftime show.
Baby, I hear.
Hello, I'm Ron Samuels. I put it in reverse gear here Monday through Thursday nights at 10, 9 Central on TNCRadio.live. Do you believe in the power of prayer? Whether you're moving down the highway or taking a break, now's a good time to take a moment to tell God your hopes, concerns, and gratitude. You want someone to pray with? No problem. Just call the TFC Global 24-Hour Prayer Line. It's 866-515-9406. By the way, if you're using the TNCRadio.live app, just press the prayer line button to be connected to a prayer warrior who will confidentially pray with and for you. The number again, 866-515-9406, or tap the prayer line button at the TNCRadio.live app.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Corking, and now for the Mental Health Minute. Have you ever had one of those days where you just don't feel like going to the gym? I haven't had one of those since last night, I guess. Yeah, they happen. They happen to all of us. And I want to talk about some options we have when that should happen. I like to think we have 4 basic categories of responses, of choices we could make. For me, it's easy when I say to myself, this is not an option, it's mandatory. My workouts are mandatory. They're scheduled just like my patients, and I would not dare to stand up a patient, and I don't miss my workouts. It's very easy for me that way. It's in my head. That's how I think about it, and that's how it gets done. But, I ran into a guy in the gym who said, I'm having one of those days, but I'm here, and I'm just not going to work myself very hard. I'm here, and I'm going to do a few sets, and that's enough for me today. And then I read some things recently who said, if you have a day like that and you don't feel like going in, you don't have to go. That's the third option. You can say to yourself, you get a day off today. And a fourth option is you can do something else. You can go for a bike ride or a swim or go for a walk or, whatever it is you want to do. Just the research is saying move. Just move. But most importantly is what you say to yourself. And I'm always going to encourage you to talk to yourself like you would a child that you love or a friend that you care about and say it's okay. It's all right. These things happen. And when you fall off the bike, you got to just get back on. The next day, get back to the gym and just pick up where you left off.
Hello, friends. This is Josh Banker from Clutch Time Sports on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern right here on TNCRadio.live. We know that life as a driver is not easy, but do you believe in the power of prayer? Whether you're moving down the highway or taking a break, you can take a moment right now to tell God about your needs, maybe something that concerns you or something you're just thankful for. You need someone to pray with you? No problem. Just call the TFC Global 24-hour prayer line at 866-515-9406. Or if you're using the TNCRadio.live app, just press the prayer line button to be connected to a prayer warrior who will confidentially pray with you and for you. Also, if you're willing to volunteer your time to help pray with and for others, then send us an email at info@tncradio.live and let us know. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Oh, yes. Welcome back to TNCRadio.live. I'm your co-host, Ivan Anderson, along with my main man, Josh Banker. Please go check us out on IG or Twitter. You can look us up at ClutchTimeTNC. Give us some thoughts. Talk to us. Clap back at us if you like. If you did like the last segment, hey, Mr. Kelly tries to get these little conversations of contingency, but that's okay because, right now it's the third quarter. We're going to sit back, relax, and just listen to my main man, because in the last 4 years, we done won Trey Ray.
Yeah, and I kind of feel after that last quarter, we could use some Trey Rangs right now.
No doubt.
No, but I mean, but it is a conversation that is worth having, and we probably could have a whole show on that discussion for sure. But let's move on to three stories that have happened in the last week or so in the world of sports that have made us smile, made us laugh, just make us feel better about the world these days. That's what Trey Rangs is all about. Well, life always trumps sports, and in the case of Liam Hendriks of the Chicago White Sox, the scare of his life has actually turned into a battle that's been won. So Hendriks returned to the major leagues on Monday in Chicago 6 months after being diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma, which is a blood cancer. His wife, Christine, knew the veins on his neck bulge in certain lights, but during a game midseason last year, she saw photos that just kind of looked a bit off. So when Hendriks got home later that night, she inspected the lumps and asked what they were, and Hendriks didn't know. So a blood test came back clean, and because he'd had an autoimmune hepatitis issue at age 18, that was kind of the working theory of what was wrong with him. So he waited till the off season, and after a CT and PET scan, they confirmed it was stage 4 lymphoma. Stage 4. I mean, that's serious, which meant chemotherapy was needed right away. So while this story could basically take up the entire third quarter here, it's had many ups and downs. Their oncologist and hematologist, Allison Rosenthal, who herself was diagnosed with leukemia at age 24 and had to battle chemo herself, along with all the Mayo Clinic team in Phoenix, helped keep Hendriks positive. And, during his 8-hour IV sessions, he'd had countless fans, athletes, well-wishers, and after many Lego sets and podcasts later, 34-year-old Liam Hendriks back on the mound on Monday night. And if you go back and watch the highlights from that game, the roar of the crowd will bring goosebumps to your arms like it did to me. So hand clap for you, Mr. Hendricks. Congrats on the battle. Let's hope it stays away and continued success from here on out for sure. That stuff's scary. It's, it gets very real very fast. So rank number 2 in front of an estimated 330,000 fans. You have any idea what I'm talking about, Ivan? What event I'm talking about?
Live golf?
No, Joseph Newgarden survived a race with a record 3 red flags and rocketed past defending champion Marcus Ericsson on the final lap to win the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500 this past weekend.
It was awesome.
Newgarden, who as a kid wrote a list of, quote, things I want to do when I grow up, which most of us do, can now scribble that one off his list. On that list, land a job in the IndyCar Series, check. Land a job with the greatest team in IndyCar Series history, check. That's, his opinion, of course. Mm-hmm. Win a bunch of IndyCar races, checks. 26 times, check. Win an IndyCar championship, check and check. Marry a Disney princess, check. It's true. His wife Ashley played Belle from Beauty and the Beast, Ariel from Little Mermaid, and Snow White while she was working abroad at Tokyo Disneyland just after college. Then finally, win the greatest spectacle in racing after a dozen tries, check. Congratulations, Mr. Newgarden. Enjoy that record-breaking $3.6 million prize and run into the stands and celebrate because you earned it. And he did run into the stands. That was fantastic. You want to comment on the end of that race, by the way? It sounded like
it was great. It was crazy because I was going back and forth between that and Formula One. They were in Monte Carlo. And they were doing the Monte Carlo Grand Prix, and it was 9 laps to go. And JB, I tell you, it took like 2 hours to do the 9 laps. They had an accident every time they went around the track.
Yeah, and it's crazy that he actually got lucky because it ended, to where it wasn't under a caution that the race ended. I mean, if it was under a caution, you stay in the positions that you're in. Right. And at that point, he was actually able to overtake Ericsson in the last half a mile, basically, of that race to come back and win, or else Ericsson would be the story here because he would have been a back-to-back winner for the first time, I think, in 20 years. So
he would have
drama.
If you'd have seen that the way that he drafted off him, it was like a slingshot. He just drafted on him, and he just slingshot around him. It was like, wow, what a move.
It looked like something out of a video game, really.
It really did. It was so gorgeous.
All right, rank number 3. Now, how these stories continue to mount up is amazing. So remember last week, Ivan, when a college player was ejected for handing his teammate a hot dog on his way back to the dugout after hitting a home run? Well, how about stripping to prove a point? So over the weekend in an Atlantic League game, minor league game between the Lancaster Barnstormers and the Gastonia Honey Hunters, I'll let those team names sink in for just a moment. The Gastonia Honey Hunters and the Lancaster Barnstormers. Okay, Gastonia infielder Jack Reinheimer was drilled on the arm by a pitch in the bottom of the 11th inning. As he tossed his bat and started trotting towards first after obviously getting hit by the pitch, the home plate umpire stopped him. There appeared to be some confusion on whether maybe Reinheimer had leaned into the pitch as the umpires gathered to discuss. So that's when Reinheimer took matters into his own hands. He took off his shirt to plead his case and showed the umpires the mark where the ball hit him. Wow. Somehow that did the trick, and he was awarded first base, but the still shirtless Reinheimer trotted to first, proving his point, got a bruise, and still lost the game 4-3. That right there is Trey Raines for this evening.
Yeah. The umpires, the referees in the NBA, I hope this summer they sit down and they have, well, not for them this summer, in November for the umps, sit down and have some discussion, because it's been a little crazy with the officiating in both sports. NFL was good this year. There were some suspect calls. Better. Yes, yeah. Better. It was better. There were some suspect calls. And when I say suspect, I'm just talking about the inconsistency. In the NFL, when you start off not calling pass interference, and then you call a pass interference with 3 seconds or 9 seconds left in the Super Bowl, it just kind of throws people off. Yes, it was a penalty. Yes, he did pass interference, but you can't let it go for 3 and 99% of the fourth quarter and then call a pass interference. That's what people just go crazy over.
Well, and it's like the old adage of basketball: you're hardly ever gonna get a whistle in the last 4 seconds of a basketball game if you go to the basket. It's gonna have to be somebody's gonna have to clean your clock and be completely obvious for a referee to call a foul. And Mr. Kelly, I'm sure you could probably agree with the statement. Especially now after baseball has made all these different rules going, especially with the pitch clocks and the disengagements and everything here too. Perhaps an argument for officials or umpires anymore is that there's just so much evolution of rules and standards anymore that it's a little hard to keep up. And perhaps these umpires and officials really just, I don't know, kind of losing their cool. They're kind of getting fed up with everything.
Well, that's why they should be replaced with automated.
Here we go.
I knew he was going to say that.
Now that we're on to baseball 2.0, because this is not Major League Baseball as we know it. Now that we're on to baseball 2.0, let's go all the way. Get rid of the umpires completely. We don't need them.
Wow. So you want to do AI now?
AI would be involved in it, but it's not AI it's all right there. Couple of lasers, we know exactly whether or not it's a strike or not.
Right. And we now have an era called the StatCast era for baseball, as it is anyway, and that's all artificial intelligence, just showing how hard a ball is hit, how far it's gone, what the flight of the ball is, the apex of the height of the hit, all these different things. I mean, it's there. It's coming. The evolution of sports is not that far away. I mean, it's continuing, I think, faster than people want it to, and that's another show for another time. So that will end the third quarter tonight. Let's head to the fourth. Ivan, we got to talk NBA Finals coming up, my man. It's time for the final break of the evening. We'll head to the fourth quarter. Be right back here on Clutch Time Sports on TNCRadio.live.
It was really a productive segment, wasn't it?
It's Truckers Life Radio from TFC Global with your host, Ron Frazier. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Here we're helping drivers as they travel life's highway. I love that. The spiritual side, drivers face a lot out on the road. Truckers Life Radio digs in on the spiritual and moral questions that drivers face on a daily basis. You don't want to miss it. Every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
This blog on TNCRadio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 5 ways to handle sickness on the road as a truck driver. Being sick on the road is one of the worst situations a truck driver could be in. As if being sick isn't bad enough, sickness on the road is 10 times worse. If you're sick at work, you can simply go home for the day and rest. This isn't the case for truck drivers. Truck drivers are hundreds and sometimes thousands of miles from their home. When a truck driver gets sick, it affects their ability to deliver their load on time. They also lose money while trying to recover. As a trucker, it's important to know how to handle sickness on the road. Here are 5 tips for you. Stay hydrated. Drinking water and electrolytes have a ton of benefits while you're sick. Water helps replace the fluids lost while loosening up mucus. Hot liquids also have benefits as well. The steam from hot liquids helps relieve congestion and soothe a sore throat. Stay clear of sugary drinks. They'll dehydrate you. Rest. Sometimes the best thing you can do while being sick is rest. Your health's more important than getting a load delivered on time. Plus, it can be dangerous to drive while you're sick. Take a day or 2 to rest and get better. Continuing to work while being sick will only drag out the healing time. Take medicine. If you start to feel sick, Get medicine as soon as possible. Vitamin C supplements are great immune boosters. Also, avoid eating unhealthy, greasy foods. Eating properly keeps you healthy and boosts your immune system. If you're already sick, check to see which over-the-counter medicine would help the most. Talk to your dispatch. Let dispatch know what's going on. If you're sick, you may not be able to perform your daily duties, or you may not be able to drive at all. Don't rush recovery time. Rushing recovery time can result in re-injuring yourself. Truck drivers know that if their truck's parked, then they're not making money. It's better to take a week off to recover than try to work when you're not ready and further injuring yourself. This blog on tncradio.live was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Do you feel like you're facing more than just the physical road ahead of you? Are you wondering if there's more to life? Join Ron Fraser, the host of Truckers Life Radio, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, where he discusses the spiritual side of a driver's life. On the show, he goes through the spiritual and moral questions drivers face on a daily basis, helping you, the driver, as you travel life's highway.
Well, thank you. We are in the fourth quarter. We're actually here. I can't believe it. JB.
Are you yawning?
No, I wasn't yawning at all. I was trying to get the Jim Carrey voice down.
Oh, God. Okay. Whew. All right.
Hiya, Bob. Let me show you something. So you want to talk a little NBA? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, we kind of finished the third quarter talking about or leading into that, but I wanted to get your thoughts about basically how the Eastern Conference Finals ended. I mean, at the point we were at last week's show, it felt like it was, going to be done in 4, maybe 5, and the Celtics actually pushed it to a 7th game, and who knew what maybe could have happened if Jason Tatum doesn't roll his ankle basically on the first play, offensive set of the game for the Celtics. Kind of felt like it just took the air out of the entire arena.
The Celtics brought this. Now, you and I, we love our show. One of the things we love is we have honest discussion. And we put the blame where blame actually goes. Joe Mazzulla is not to blame for this fiasco. The management of the Boston Celtics is, because they made ruin a man's reputation. I'm talking about Emu Udoka as the head coach. And to this day, you and I, anybody in sports, have no idea what he did. He had a consensual sexual relationship with another adult. Now, I still ask the team. I've asked everybody, does the Boston Celtics or do the Boston Celtics have a and I may say this word incorrectly, fraternizing agreement or law with their employees? If so, just say that's what you have. But to go and say you're investigating this guy and all this other bull crap, and then he goes and gets another job, because obviously behind the scene in the NBA, everybody knows it's a bunch of baloney. So they blew their own team up. You're going to start the season and you have no coach, and now you're putting Joe Mazzulla in charge, and he's only been in the NBA for 3 years as an assistant. Most assistant coaches become head coaches around 10 years. So it's on management.
Yeah, well, and it was interesting after the Celtics got the tip in to win Game 6, how everybody was writing off Miami. But I thought to myself, you know what? If Miami has any big distinct advantage in this series, it's Eric Spoelstra. And they have a guy that has been there, done that, and understands what it takes to not only win a road game, because they've done that twice already, but to win a big game and survive what most people thought was going to be, the worst thing to have to try to come back from. And they did it with ease. They made it look easy. And now as we pivot towards the Nuggets and Heat, Denver has sat back for basically a week and a half. and trying to figure out exactly. I mean, they probably were game planning from Miami from the very start. So because Miami had such a huge league, and maybe they thought, well, okay, we're going to have to start game planning a little bit for the Celtics and see what happens. But I don't feel like they have the Celtics, the Heat, have any answer for Nikola Jokic in this series. And I'm going to find it very hard for Miami to get maybe more than a game off of them in this series. But we've been saying that all playoffs long, too. Playoffs long. So, then again, my words may come back to haunt me just like every other critic of the Heat, during this playoff run.
Well, the Miami Heat is a very interesting team, and one of the things I got to give them a lot of credit, a lot of things that they're facing, they have no pressure. They're facing the Denver Nuggets with no pressure. There's actually more pressure on Denver to win this
100%.
title.
100%.
Miami's walking in, we just taking one game at a time. That's all we can do is take one game at a time. Now, let's remember the 3 games that Miami lost, they also had Jimmy Butler was hurt. He banged his knee. I think Bam wasn't doing too good. I think he was kind of somewhat injured. So they didn't have all their team at full staff. So I think if everybody was healthy when they started the series with Boston, they would have finished in 6 games at least. But I think this series is going to be underestimated. I think both teams are underestimated, but I think there's more pressure on the Nuggets. I think Miami has a chance to they have a chance to win this. And I think it'll go 6 at the minimum. I think they'll 6-game series.
And that wouldn't surprise me. No, I didn't expect Miami to win any series that they've been in, and here we are. And I'm not picking them to win this series either, but it wouldn't surprise me to have exactly what's already been happening throughout their playoff run happen in the finals, and maybe they pull out a victory in 6 or a victory in 7 and win on Denver's home floor in Game 7 to take the title. What I find interesting, though, too, is that the way Eric Spoelstra's handled this run, he knows who his horses are. It's Butler and Adebayo. But
that's right.
But he has gotten so much out of guys like Gabe Vincent.
Oh my goodness,
Caleb Martin. You've got proven veterans like Kyle Lowry that are on the bench, but he's pushed them aside for the guys that he knows that are working right now. And right now it's Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent. And how about Tyler Hero's been out all postseason too. Their sharpshooter Mitchell Robinson has been fantastic.
Crazy good.
So it's again, everything feels like is leaning towards Denver, which probably means Miami is going to pull off an upset.
If Miami did that, I think that would be really, really neat. But you got to give, like you said, Spoelstra has done a phenomenal job with this team. But let's remember the culture of the Miami Heat. And it starts with Pat Riley. Pat Riley came there. He built that system that has been in place dating back since he arrived when he chose Dwayne Wade to be his first superstar. And he really was. I mean, when he was coaching, he had Alonzo Mourning, he had the hard way and his bad crossover. But as a GM, I think he's done a better job as a GM than he has as a coach for the team.
Well, and we only have about a minute left, but let's not also forget that Miami could also be bringing home an NHL championship this season too. How about another team that was not expected to do anything in the playoffs, and now the hotbed of hockey is Vegas and Florida, right? Because everybody thinks of hockey when they think of Vegas and Florida. Hockey. So that'll be a very interesting series too. The Panthers and the Golden Knights are going to go at it here starting later this week. That's going to be intriguing as well.
The Panthers have been playing phenomenal hockey, and what they've been doing is they've been playing speed hockey, kind of way the Sacramento Kings was playing speed basketball against the Warriors. They have played very fast, and they score you very quickly. If the Golden Knights really want a chance, and I do look at the Golden Knights as an underdog in this series, you cannot let the Panthers come out in the first period and actually score 2 goals on you. And you're looking at the third period down 3-0 in the first or second game. It's in hockey is like soccer. It is so hard to score. But when you have a team like the Panthers that score quickly, you can be in devastating trouble very short time.
Well, we'll see where both of those series are a week from tonight when we return for Clutch Time Sports. Thank you, everyone, for a great night. We'll see you next Wednesday. Adios.